we're gonna see all these others, if you can just slow down like him so we can finish his talk.
How far down should I
Right by, not far from my hair.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you got a little kind of discipline.
Yeah, so now you bump
Okay, I'm going to introduce you to the rest of the family now. Here's Conrad's site. This is a gentleman who invented this place. Poor man, he built this place, became a millionaire. He was married to Catalina. This is their oldest daughter, the piano player Emma. She was the second matriarch of this house when her mom passed away in 1920. And it was passed down upon her death to her daughter, Alma Schmidt Peterson. This guy was married to the pathologist. She was the lady I was talking about, the tall woman, good-looking lady. There she was right there. That picture was hung there at her son's request. She was the one who was really the, in today's vernacular, like I say, she'd be considered a woman's liver. She was a very strong, very forceful woman with all good intentions. And here's her son, William Peterson. He's a guy who actually executed the family's wishes, gave this place to give a $10 million household. Paid a total of $900,000 in real estate taxes so he could give a house away, and it was worth $10 million. That's the benevolence of these people. So there's the 4 generations that actually ran this household, although there were 7 generations that actually lived here, stayed here. Here's the route you came in today. You can see half of the house. Today I think all you can see coming in is the top half, the top portion of the tower. That picture was taken in 1903. That's the original steamboat line right there. Okay, here's where Conrad was born, Langen, Hessen, Germany. The lady who did the intro of the porch, Nancy, was over there a few years ago. She took a picture similar to this. And she remarked to one of the ladies who was standing out there, she was surprised that the house looked as good as it did after almost 200 years. And the German lady said, well, in Germany, we preserve our history. In America, you guys build on it. It's so true, unfortunately, but true. So that house is still there. He was born there almost 200 years ago. Okay, here's Conrad, Catalina, his 5 small children. Here's the children on this side from his first marriage. As you can see, these people are all adults. They're all adult children of Conrad. They were a generation, so to say, older than the kids from his second marriage. This is his son from his first marriage, William. Unfortunately, he was running a brewery when it closed up. Got demolished in 1933. We thought it was his fault. We felt he had disgraced the family and took a gun to himself. His family's had its share of tough times too. Although it wasn't his fault, the brewery, which is right over here behind this lady, that was at 3300 Michigan Avenue, pretty close to Lake Michigan. Became the #1 brewery for a while. Demolished in 1933. That piece of property was given to the people so they could build Micro-Use Hospital in Chicago. So there's a lot of history in this family, a lot of benevolence that we're not aware of until we start researching. This fellow thought it was his fault. The brewery had been bought by a British conglomerate, and the site brewing company was operating autonomously within that conglomerate. It wasn't the fault of Prohibition. They tried making beer, they tried making root beer. They did made beer for a gentleman out of Chicago by the name of Al Capone. The conglomerate did not, these people didn't know what they couldn't make it. So that's when the brewery was demolished. Here's a house I was talking about. This one, he built this one the same year he built this one here. 250,000, 20,000. Same exact year. They moved into both houses the same year. That house was destroyed, demolished in 1920. And it's now part of the IIT campus in Illinois. That's it, 3300 South Michigan Avenue. Okay, I can't take you out here, although hopefully next year, if the insurance guys say we can, take you out there and let you view the lake. Wish I could do it now, but I can't. Okay, let's go to the matriarch's room. I already think she's got the best view of the house here. And these windows are beautiful for looking through, but not the most practical. They do come up, but they can only open up about 18 inches. And from the ground up, it doesn't make any sense to me. You let squirrels, chipmunks, etc., whatever, jump down the balcony, you can walk right in here. The actual ventilation and entrance to these rooms came through these doors. Technically, they're called windows, because back then you were taxed on the amount of doorways you had in the house. So they call these windows you can walk through. That's the way they beat that particular tax. The maids would walk on the balcony, they'd come into the rooms, they'd clean the rooms, change the bed linens, fill the pitchers, and empty the chamber pots. That was what they used. I had a little kid here that was about 8, 9 years old. I said, "Do you know what those are for?" And I tried to explain it to her. She said, "How can you poop in those?" Have you ever had to go real bad? Anyway, she thought our houses were profane. She did not like them. Like I say, the school of thought here was very prudish, very modest. This is the only one of 2 bedrooms that had a double bed in it, because this was the matriarch's room. Nobody occupied this room but the matriarch. The last gal that did is Clara Madlinger, one of their granddaughters who married, obviously, Mr. Madlinger. I still say people were shorter back then. I mean, I'm not a tall guy by any means, but I'd have a hard time sleeping in that bed without bed. Beds are also made to be elevated and braced up at about a 45-degree angle for heartburn. Long before the days of Prevacid, what do I take? Omeprazole, before those antihistaminic. Could you say it? Omeprazole. When you get to be alright, believe me, you will live on that stuff. Especially if you're a big drinker. But they didn't have all the antacids, so they had to sleep in an elevated angle. And all beds were made to do that. So I guess you didn't need all the living room down here. This is a handmade walnut bed. These are not, those are putai, they're not chairs. It's an Italian chair. Looks like he's getting ready to deliver a pizza or something like that. But just, I like to sidewind a little bit here. Due to the beliefs in this house, the kind of puritanical beliefs, everything was very modest, very proper here. There were single beds or twin beds in every other room except the one over there. And you never knew where people were going to be sleeping. Most of the people slept up in the balconies. If the mosquitoes or the weather wouldn't allow, they all crowded into these rooms. Now, 13 bedrooms was a lot, but when you're sleeping 35, 40 people, it's not a lot. Nobody slept in this room except the matriarch. This was her room. Who was the first married couple? This is just a beer bit for you guys to take back with you. The first married couple shown on television occupying the same bed. Serious now. You don't count that.
I know, it's Flintstones.
It's the Flintstones, right?
Oh, I was thinking
Fred and Wilma. Because back then, the censorship was so powerful. Those of you who can remember, like I can, back to those days, you didn't see that stuff. Now what you see is, oh my God, it's ridiculous. But that's the beliefs in this house. Everything was very proper, very puritanical. Painting couch was an actual thing. I always used to think it was something made up for the movies. But these women were all trussed up like an hourglass. The Victorian, behind this gentleman here, there's a picture of a couple of gals that are cinched in real tight at the waist. In true Victorian beliefs, over in Jolly Old England, the woman's waist was expected to be pinched into the circumference of her head, the same size. Real strict places, the circumference of her neck. Now, how would you like to walk around in a corset all day that's got you cinched in that tight? Well, they were all laced up in back. There is a button hook over there. When it comes time for the ladies to change clothes or get ready for bed, they stand right here. And the maids, the personal maids, would undo their laces and their corsets and their dresses. And of course, all the blood that was trapped up here would go down south, go to the southern extremities of their body. They'd get a little light in sometimes, and they ease them back onto the couch here. I always thought that was something made up for the movie, but it's not. Okay, yeah, ma'am, or Ellen. That is the original medicine chest of the house. Grandma here was the only one who was allowed to dispense any kind of medications at all. The top shelf are the oldest items. Those are left here by the family. The only item we removed was something called laudanum. If those of you who heard the history knows that's opium. What's the old name for opium? That was a legal medicine back then. Hanging on the door, you see the little church key swinging back and forth, as we used to call it, bottle opener. You can see how often that door's been open and closed because it's got a little rut worn right into the back of the door. And again, those are all left here by the family. Here's a picture of Katharina on the wall right here. One of the relaxed poses of her. Wallpaper is sometime in the 40s. That's not original, of course. And this is the room behind Ellen over there. It used to be the sleeping, living quarters, if you may, of the main maid to the house. The maid to the lady of the house. When they started bringing bathrooms in, they used that particular room for the matriarch's bathroom, her own private bathroom. The maid, her attendant, went outside in a house that used to be out there. I'll show you where that was.